Mud is a beautiful thing. It's a combination of the earth and the water from the sky, the heavens. It is simply just a beautiful earth product underneath your feet. But we have been trained to believe that it can ruin your day, your evening, your afternoon, your life. My students, welcome back to another episode of Professor Providence. Tonight, I'm going to teach you all how to finesse the mud. The first technique on how you can finesse the mud in this scenario is dry mud. Dry mud is when the dirt is very, very dry and there's no precipitory rain from the sky. To finesse this certain type of mud, all you have to do is take both of your feet and pivot them either to the left or to the right. Depending on which is your dominant foot, you can take your dominant foot and just take one step forward with your pivoted feet position, and keep your waist straight and just walk across the mud carefully. When you do this, yes, the mud is inevitably going to attach itself on the bottom of your foot, both of your feet, but it won't be as bad. It'll just be at an angle, and the bottom of your shoes won't be as ruined. To get across your journey and achieving your destination. So that's the first technique. The second technique on how to finesse the mud is to simply do the same thing but with a different level of mud. This mud I like to call is the damp mud, which you see before your eyes. The damp mud is simply just mud that's a little wet with rainwater or whatever type of liquid is in the area. So all you have to do is do the same technique. Just pivot both of your feet in a 45-degree angle. But in this case, you do longer strides. You only step on the spots that aren't as wet, because obviously, my students, you don't want wet mud underneath your boots or your shoes or your moccasins or high heels. I don't want that either, because it leaves a trail. So just pay attention to where the less spots of wetness are and step on those. But it has to be at that 45-degree angle. That way you're not making any splashes at the bottom of your feet. Now the final technique on how you can finesse the mud is to simply do the same thing, but you would tiptoe across. Because the next level of mud, I like to call the mushy mud. Yes, I know it is quite humorous, but this is serious. I'm trying to save all of you from having a headache, depending on who you are. Now this mushy mud is when the rainwater or whatever liquid is in the area is at its highest peak of wetness. And it's literally just creating all of these waves of dirt and grass, and the mud is very, very mushy. That means it has a lot of water in it, and it will make all these puddles, and it can get attached to your legs, your thighs even, and your feet are just done for, and it can get all over your clothes. But you don't want that, do you? You don't want it to ruin your day. You have a mission. So just simply do the same technique, pivot your feet, make your waist straight facing forward, depending on how comfortable you are. Look forward and just tiptoe across that mushy mud. This is going to reduce the impact of the puddles and the splashes until you finally get across. You can either do the left or the right. And I guarantee you, you won't be as muddy. Because if you do simple things like this and just finesse things that are designed to ruin your day, you can conquer that mud, be one with it, and you can tell your other Starseed brothers and sisters, or other family members, or other friends, depending on their consciousness. So these are the techniques on how you can finesse the mud. And my students, I've applied these techniques in my own personal life, and they've worked. Also, you will look badass doing it. So to reiterate, the first level of mud, the dry mud, just pivot both of your feet, waist forward, and slowly move your way across. Small strides. The second technique, when it comes to the damp mud, you would take longer strides and focus on the areas of the ground that are not as wet. And then the third technique, the same thing, you just tiptoe. Just tiptoe. Just tiptoe. You could also keep your feet flat and have that tiptoe momentum, one small step at a time. My students, you all deserve heaven on earth, and to not be a mud magnet. If you liked this recording, leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe, my students. And as always, stay true to yourselves, love yourselves, and be one with yourselves. Until next communion.